the US. Good evening to all our friends in India. Thanks so much, Brady and Anne Deaton, for joining us and graciously introducing me today. We'll go ahead and get started. Today's discussion is on a deeper understanding of heart health. This is the first of six Monday morning meetings that we will have. My first disclosure is HilifeJourney.org, which is a nonprofit mobile health tool that we are developing to increase resilience using self-inquiry. In 2015, when we started out with Heartful Living clinics, we hoped about 10% of our patients in mid-Missouri will find the program useful. And we thought it would take 2 years. In 2020, what we now know is over 50% of our cardiac patients benefit, and in a much shorter and in a much more profound way. So this has actually been surprising to us to see how heart patients are able to show improvements. Remember, many of the heart patients who attended our Heartful Living program since 2015 have so many health challenges, not only heart issues, other organs that are not working as well as they should. They have age against them in their lot of times in their 70s, 80s when they attend our program. Still, they're able to make so much changes that it has been an eye-opener for me. They have taught me how much this program can benefit. So this is a medal won by one of our professors. He was 69 when he had his first heart attack. Luckily, so far, that's the only heart attack. He ended up needing a stent in his heart in the summer of 2018. He participated in cardiac rehab program we offer and in our Heartful Living cardiac wellness group clinics. And in 6 months, he was a transformed man. He would go ahead and participate and compete and win in running events, which he had trouble just walking in Walmart for several years, just because he was sedentary, focusing on his academic work. But now he was taking more interest in his health, in his body agility, and he was winning. And he shared this medal about a year ago so that future participants in Heartful Living would be inspired that age is not a limitation, heart disease is not a limitation, for us to open ourselves to more and broader and deeper life experiences. 2 days ago, he sent me an email. The summary of that is he's now thinner, stronger, faster than ever before, and now he feels 25 years younger. So this is what Heartful Living is about. In this COVID world, our life itself is a question. Health is a question. We still have to find the hope to deal with all these challenges in the best way possible. So my request to you is give your attention for the next 30 minutes without diverting it to some other devices, some other distractions, smartphone apps, whatever. Just try to stick with us for the next 30 minutes. And what we've done this as a group clinic in the last 5 years, today my request is if you can do it alone without too many other people in the room, so that it is one-on-one with me, so that we can connect and participate in not only the slideshow, but also in recognizing the mindfulness and deeper subconscious aspects of this experience. Now I request you to smile. Doc, you haven't cracked a joke. We are not going to find a reason to smile. That's fine. You don't need a reason to smile. Just smile for my request, and that itself will break the connection between all the stresses that we have and our body. So if you smile, then I'll go ahead. Health span or healthy life expectancy is something that I feel is much more important than our lifespan, because health is so important for us to truly experience life. In India today, it is 59 years if you are born in India. In the US, it is 69 years. In Singapore, it is 76 years, way more. But in blue zones, it can be over 90 years, even in 2020. These blue zones are in Italy, Japan, Costa Rica, in Los Angeles, Loma Linda area, where people still live very traditional, sometimes physically challenging and hardy, more, I would say, natural lifestyles. And they are able to achieve this lifespan and health span through their traditional ways. The challenges our heart patients face, including excess weight, high blood pressure, irregular fast heartbeat, heart failure, heart attack, this is unfortunately a vicious cycle that patients find it hard to break. And it's made harder by the background stress, anxiety, emotional challenges, financial challenges, so many social issues that we have to navigate in this day and age. So in this background, it becomes so much harder. We have numerous medicines, balloons, surgeries, hospitalizations for our heart patients, but do we cure them of heart challenges? The answer is no. In today's age, 1/3 in the United States still die due to heart disease. $500 billion in 2016, which is going to increase to over $1 trillion in the next 15 years. Important message here is still 90% of heart disease is preventable, only with a few simple measures: avoiding cigarettes, exercising for about 20 to 30 minutes on most days, and keeping an eye on blood pressure, cholesterol, and eating a reasonably healthy diet. That's all it takes to avoid 9 out of 10 heart attacks. Knowing this is how our obesity epidemic is increasing in the last 3 decades. Now it is at about 30% of our population, 35%. And in the next 10 years, more than half of America is going to be unhealthily excess in weight. What is government doing about it? What is our community doing about it? What is healthcare system doing about it? What are we as individuals doing to improve our health and to get the message across to more people in our own surroundings so that people can get healthier? This is the different countries lining up. Korea and Japan are the lowest in obesity, less than 5%. Head and shoulders above the rest of the Western world is the United States at the right corner, where it is at over 30%. Many of our friends today are from India. You don't see India in this graph. So I had to superimpose it. Any guesses where India would be? India is a developing country, so much poverty, so many people going to bed without sufficient food. So you would think India would be at 3%. Unfortunately, India is at over 30%, especially the cities in India, like Chennai, where I come from, and many of our participants today are from. Obesity is as big a challenge as it is in the United States. Today's discussion, we don't have too much time to go over all the reasons and details, but this is a very sad reality for a developing country that does not have the resources of the Western world to cope with the obesity-related long-term metabolic and cardiac risk. This is another sobering reality. Whatever medications doctors prescribe, within a year or 2 years, most of the medicines are not going to be taken by the patients. If you are a doctor, your chances of complying is even lesser. Adherence to diets is again very significantly reduced over a few months, few years. So over a year or two, 95% of our diet plans are going to be forgotten. We are going to go back to eating what we like. Gym memberships, also the same trend. We don't stick to any regimental exercise program. Why? Because we are free human beings. India is the largest democracy. America is the flagship for democracy. So we are all free people and we like to do what we like. That's all it is. This is the story of all of us. Today in 2020, for anyone who is alive, this is how we have evolved. And our ancestors had to cope with challenges which are very basic: finding food, finding protection from the natural elements, surviving against predators. And this required physical energy, movement, which was on average of walking plus running combined about 10 miles, 15 kilometers every day. This is how all our grandparents survived, and thanks to them managing, we are alive today. Fast forward to 2020. This is the reality that not only the United States, but throughout the world, unhealthy lifestyle is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge. Because of the busier lifestyle, standard American diet, SAD, people being more sedentary, and loneliness, with more than half the people in the world choosing to be alone rather than within a marriage or within families. So this is of choice. So this is how the US and Western Europe is, and that is what people in India and other developing countries are trying to follow as well. The standard American diet is where what I would say is fast food restaurants, where people all over the world are now lining up, not just in the US. So if you want to know how much your BMI is, it's weight by height squared. And if you are below 25 BMI, it is normal. Obesity is over 30 BMI. But if you are from India, the criteria is even more stringent. If a BMI is over 25, you're considered obese. BMI of 23 is considered overweight. Why are Indians at such a extra scale? The reason is we have so much higher risk of heart disease at even lesser levels of obesity. That is why for India, the criteria is even more strict. India includes Southeast Asian countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan. And if you look at waist circumference, for men it is 40 inches and women 35 inches, beyond which the risk of cardiac and metabolic problems like diabetes, cholesterol issues, hypertension increase. But again, if you're from India and if you're a man with 35 or higher pant size, it is a big concern. For women, 31 and a half inches is a big concern. So we want to aim for lesser and healthier waist circumference. This might be even better than BMI for several reasons. So we started out as a complement to cardiac rehab, which focuses on exercise, diet, and managing stress. So these are the main aims of a cardiac rehab program after somebody has a heart attack, balloon, bypass surgery, to prevent the next event. But Heartful Living Clinics, for the last 5 years, we've been focusing more on moving naturally rather than getting your 30 minutes in the gym. Moving naturally means incorporating exercise in a fun way. Maybe you could walk instead of driving, you could bike to work. You could go grocery shopping on foot. Different things you can experience. And diet, instead of focusing on what you cut out, you focus much more on how you celebrate eating experience and cooking at home, things like that. And resilience, I feel, is the positive aspect of coping with stress, and it has 10 times more potential. I sincerely believe that our Heartful Living colleagues over the last 5 years would be emotionally, physically, mentally so much more resilient to dealing with the COVID-related challenges of 2020, racial injustice challenges, so many other things the world we have to face. If you participate wholeheartedly, you will be more able to cope with life and its challenges. WHO defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, but we want to extend it. Health not only is well-being, beyond that, health is the freedom to pursue life itself with passion. Living to 100 years is the goal of cardiac prevention, but Heartful Living aims at that, plus living today. Today is the most important day in our life, so we have to figure out today more than any other day. So this is a busy slide that highlights the entire Heartful Living program, which starts with high life, which is the inner understanding of our own passion, goals, and self-inquiry. Then comes the mind, then the body, then exercise, diet, finding meaningful relationship in our family, in our community. This leads to high life. And this is an everyday process, everyday self-exploration, where we again and again come up with the correct way of aligning ourselves with life itself. So in the Heartful Living program, first 30 minutes is the slideshow and discussion like what we are having right now. Then 15 minutes of question answers. And then the last 15 minutes we have spent in self-inquiry, different mindfulness, meditative practices. So this is the gist. The blue ring outside is what we participate as a tasty, or what we eat as a regular diet. The next green circle is what we explore in different dietary patterns, quantities and qualities and cooking types that is healthier. And finally, every day we have to find things that we can comfortably say, I like this, I enjoy this food. And it should be things that we can take ownership for. Same thing with physical activity. From where we are, we want to explore things that are fun and healthful for about 30 minutes and then find it that it is part of our everyday life. Same thing with the inner journey also. We all have some stress, some anxiety, so many questions about ourselves, our family's health in these COVID times. But through different meditative or whatever practices that you believe will give you the confidence, I would like you to explore it so that you find fun and fulfillment in today's experience of life. So this is what our Heartful Living program has been for the last 5 years. Thanks to our colleagues in the VA Whole Health program, we've been doing this without interruption for 5 years now. I can say, based on our patients telling us that we can reduce heart attack, diabetes. Most diabetics come off their oral medicines, and even insulin-requiring diabetics have come off insulin after being on it for 10 years. Hypertension medicines have come down to zero, cholesterol improved, cancer risk can be reduced. Anxiety, stress, depression, doctors dealing with burnout can cope with their work stress better. In the long run, we may be able to reduce dementia. People call this type 3 diabetes because it seems to be a cardiometabolic problem. And with people living longer, avoiding dementia is going to be so important for our community to be healthy in the long run. And lastly, but not leastly, we can improve our relationships, our performance for school children, for college youth in their academics, and for professionals in their jobs, and finding happiness today, confidence to connect with our own inner goals, and the energy and the passion that will drive us through life successfully. So for that, all these purposes, the one solution that has worked in the last 5 years so beautifully, I would say, is self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is the science of higher consciousness to improve our health as well as celebrate today, thereby gaining a health span and a lifespan of over 100 years. So I welcome you to High Life, which incorporates the latest in preventive cardiology, positive psychology, mindfulness meditation, as well as 5,000-year-old Siddha medical and yoga technology techniques. So this is the first of the 4 components, 4 external and 4 internal self-inquiry aspects. The external thing is I invite you to not eat any calories. So the only thing is water you could have, say from dinner at 7 p.m. to breakfast at 9 a.m. Oh, you may say, oh, it's easy for me, doc. I have so many of my patients who find this a challenge. So we'll start at 12 to 14 hours. And if possible, increase it to 16 hours on most days of the week, where we brush our teeth, say at 6 p.m. and go on until 9 a.m. or even 10 a.m. after a few months. For starting, we'll do at 12 hours. But the more important thing than this 12 to 14 hour fast that I would like you to try starting today is finding the gratitude. So that we will explore some more over the next 6 weeks. But finding something that you're grateful for is what allows us to connect with this in a holistic way. Next is the recommendation of 150 minutes of exercise, which is about 30 minutes on most days for adults over the age of 18. Today, for the first time in our Heartful Living clinics, we have people below the age of 18, 10 to 15 and 18 years. For them, the requirement is 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise every day. So once you're 19, you can get a pass for only 30 minutes of exercise. But whichever exercise, yoga, or sport that you are embracing, my request to you is, in the middle of it, when you reach your, I would say, higher level of physical activity, in a Vogue Dyspnea Index, RPE scale of 1 to 10, when you reach higher numbers, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is, I can't even breathe. So that's when you're really pushing your limit. Connect with being relaxed. Connect with that smile. You will say, well, I'm working hard. How can I relax and smile? But that is what heartful living is all about. Okay? So being aware of how much you exerted, that is the inner question, and trying to smile and relax your body as you're pushing its limit. So now comes the smile. We keep talking about it again and again. So this is the prescription. If this is the only message you take home for today, this is it. Smile 20 times every waking hour. When you're sleeping, you're excused. My patients tell me, Doc, I have another 3 years before I can retire at 65. Then I will start relaxing and smiling. No, my request is, when you're 60, when you're 40, when you're 20, when you're 10 years of age, start smiling every hour. And this cannot happen just by itself. You may say, I need a reason. Without a reason, if you smile, it is equally, in fact, maybe even more beneficial to break the link between the stress and your health. And ultimately, the only way that we can honestly smile from our heart, I believe, is if we do it out of gratitude. When asked, Buddha said, there is no path to happiness. Happiness itself is the path. You can find this gratitude through 100 different reasons. For whatever reason that you're grateful for, connect with it. And it may be for specific events. Today, you may be grateful for the electricity in India that allows you to participate in this Zoom conference. You would be grateful for food that you had today morning for breakfast in the US. Whatever you are grateful for, specific events that happened. But it is 1,000-fold more profound if you can find gratitude for people in your life, for the family, for colleagues, for friends you share your life with, or for circumstances. For me, my circumstances, I'm a cardiologist, having an opportunity to work with amazing patients, such enthusiastic cardiology colleagues and trainees. So this has been my life for over a decade now. So I'm very grateful for that circumstance. And COVID has only highlighted that our profession is so looked up to by the rest of society. So I'm grateful for being a doctor. So these are the reasons that we can connect wherever we are, whatever our circumstances are. And then a 17-year-old kid stood up in Hickman High School a few months ago and said, I am grateful for being alive, for having a roof over my head, for waking up in the morning and having food. In front of 200 of his classmates, if a 17-year-old kid can stand up and say that, we all can find gratitude for life itself. So that is what gratitude is all about. How we are able to experience it, not as a word, not as a logical thinking, but as a much deeper experience. This is my mother's younger sister. She passed away 2 days ago. Professor Manamalli Sivaraman was my medical school professor in biochemistry. And she was an ever optimistic person, and her life itself was the message. And the message was, passion for life arises from love, for work, for family, for friends. And in all her 70 years, I have not seen her one day even having a small dip in her energy and enthusiasm. So this is somebody who I lost 2 days ago, but I could not even be there for her family in these challenging times because of travel restrictions. So I would spend my next 3 minutes being grateful for having her in my life until day before and for the rest of my life also. Although physically I cannot call her on the phone, she is going to be with me. So that is my gratitude. I would invite you to find gratitude in any of these circumstances. It can be for people in your life, it can be for events, but for the next, I would say 20 to 30 seconds, I would like you to actually talk about it. Because you're muted, nobody's going to hear it. Talk about it aloud. Yeah, I'm going to talk aloud, but I guess I'll have to mute myself. But instead, I alone will talk in my heart. But for you, I request you to talk aloud and observe what you're talking. Be grateful for something in the next 30 seconds and then drop into silence. Just focus on your breathing, experience the breathing, and whatever thought comes, gently bring your attention back to your breath as you sit down and relax. First 30 minutes, sit up straight and talk aloud about something that you're grateful for. And then for the next 2 minutes, we will all stay quiet. We'll start now. Excellent. we'll go ahead and continue. I'm sure many of you were able to engage at a deeper level with your experience of gratitude itself. So that is the third component, self-talk, observation. This is, I think, coming mostly, I would say, from sports psychology, where we motivate ourselves in the middle of competition to do optimally in the sport. Like that, when we are trying to do a little more self-inquiry, go deeper into understanding our consciousness, this self-observation of who is talking, who is listening, that itself is a profound experience. Even more important is the silence that follows, hopefully for 10 minutes. Every day, my request is that you participate in these efforts. And the last one is called ACE, Altruism, Compassion, Experience. This we have come up in the COVID era, and this is very, I would say, similar to what we've been doing in Heartful Living for 5 years, but the specific exercise invites you to do something outside your routine. We all have certain set routines as we call life. Outside that standard, spend 1 minute, maybe up to 2 or 5 minutes at most, nothing more than that. But this 1 to 2 minutes of your effort should bring a smile, should make someone feel welcome or recognized in their life. The important uh, challenge for you is to try to do this without the recipient knowing who is doing the favor for them. So this would leave us with the compassion that is internal, because we are not even getting acknowledged or thanked for this act of kindness that we share with somebody who does not preferably know us directly. And if you cannot do that in a COVID challenges and all that, you could still try and maybe call some family who lives alone, who is not able to connect easily with other people. Spend few minutes on the phone saying, as you pick up the phone, I'm calling you because I'm concerned. I'm thinking about how you're managing in these COVID circumstances. That may be all that it takes. But if you can do it to someone who doesn't know you and can thank you directly, that is even better. So if we try to make changes to our life, to do any logical thinking, this is the challenge. Our mind is totally filled and overflowing with too many concepts, thoughts, logic, and other issues. Let's put it all aside on the surface. Let us delve deeper into our subconscious, where 90% of our mind resides. In that subconscious, we will find the light, the energy that actually drives us. The logical mind is just a tool, like our hand or our leg. It just helps, like our eyes. It is just a tool that helps us get to where we want to go. But the subconscious is where the true life itself resides. But there is a barrier. It's not easy to get directly to the subconscious. The willpower, logical mind, thinking, all that is at the surface. But at the subconscious is where our emotions, values, habits, they reside. But much more importantly, at the core resides our creativity and the experience of gratitude. It is deeper than the logical mind can perceive. So this is the heart of consciousness. It's a simple mnemonic, a framework. H for being humble. COVID has made all of us humble. But recognizing every day how we can connect with life itself with humility, empathy towards people around us, aspiration, connecting with our own goals and dreams every day honestly and truthfully. Reciprocation is giving the benefit of doubt to others. And all these things simply go towards building trust. That is the gas in our tank, the petrol in our car that will allow us to travel through life itself. So the trust is so important. Trust in people around us, in our colleagues at work, in our family, in our friends, and most importantly, the inner trust in ourselves. All these give us the energy to move ahead in life. So scientific knowledge is cumulative over generations. That is the basis of society, language and culture, education, power. That's why we attribute most of our success through science. But self-inquiry is not learning, it's an experience. And it starts every day at zero, no matter how much we have evolved in the inner journey. And this is the source for our freedom and every day finding fulfillment in our life, despite all the challenges that we face. So, Valluvar, about 2500 years ago, said, "அற்றது அறிந்து கடைபிடித்து மாறல்ல தூய்க்க துவர பசித்து." Recognize healthy foods and eat mindfully only when you're really hungry. So this, I believe, is a simple message. About 1600 years ago, Bodhidharma from southern India, from Tamil Nadu, took our fighting techniques and meditative tools as Zen Buddhism and Kung Fu to China. And he says your nature is the Buddha, and Buddha is the person who's free of plans and free of cares. He believed in controlling and dealing with our mind, training the body is equally important. This self-inquiry comes from Ramana Maharishi, who is the master of self-inquiry. And inquiry consists in retaining the mind in the self, and silence is the true teaching. The question, who am I, will destroy all other thoughts. And like the stick used for stirring this fire, it itself will get destroyed. Then will arise true self-realization. This is my granddad. He also passed away 3 months ago. He is a scholar, a leader, an orator who gave his life selflessly for Tamils to feel equal. And his message was, identify with your true calling at a young age. Then life itself becomes effortless. So the logical mind focuses on our ability to concentrate. Our intelligence is used, allowing us to be more productive and compete in this world. But I'm inviting you into high life where the attention is effortless. You are connected more to your passion and to your creativity directly, and allowing you to naturally cooperate with everybody in your life, in your relationships, so that this leads to much more fulfillment and happiness. So we cover over the next 5 to 6 weeks how to connect with hunger and be grateful for life itself, better eating tools, understand natural ketosis. I tell all my patients, 80% of your health has always been in your hands. Only 20% is with the doctor and science and technology. Understanding how sports psychology and flow concepts can be used to help heart patients. Ikigai, the reason to wake up in the morning. And we focus then on self-inquiry, where we meditate for a few minutes on silence and compassion, and how the entire experience requires no effort at all. Once we connect with the inner nature, this becomes so intuitive. I want to share with you this patient. In 2018, if you see her graph, she's 58, 59 years of age with heart problems, hypertension. She was excess weight, and she participated in Heartful Living. And look at her weight, how it has dropped from 130 kilograms. It has dropped 20% weight reduction within few months of participation. And now, when I called her a few weeks ago, she's asking, what more can I do? What is new in Heartful Living? So this is the amount of energy she has. She has stopped many of her medicines. She's already feeling about 7 years younger. And in the next 2 years, I am confident she'll say she's feeling 15 years younger. So the chronological age keeps increasing, whereas biologically she's feeling younger and more energetic. So this is just one patient. I can show you so many more examples like this. So this is our real experience. Not only what we teach our patients, what they show is possible through their life experience itself. So this is what I want to leave you with. Wherever you're engaged, where you forget time, time should stop with activity like sports or working in your garden or spending time with your grandchildren, whatever it is, when you wholeheartedly engage, where you find yourself. So the question, whether our cup is half full or half empty, whether we are optimistic, pessimistic, once you connect with your subconscious and engage with life wholeheartedly, this question becomes different. You will find at the heart level, the cup is totally full and overflowing. Even for this, we have patients who are saying, Doc, we feel exactly what you promised. I thought within 3 years they will get to it, maybe a few of them. In reality, our patients within 1 year, 1.5 years have done this, and they feel life is overflowing at the age of 60, 70, 80. So that's why we bring this to you today, so that you tell how your life is, how optimistic you are, until your cup is totally full and overflowing. Don't stop with your self-inquiry. That is what the real message of this entire Heartful Living course is. So to log in, HilifeJourney.org, you can start enrolling starting today. Put your basic information in there, and in 3 months, you can retest where your physical health is, where your emotional health is, and you will see how much benefit this program has given you. And I'm so glad you are already part of this. Today we've completed the first session. And then I have so many more slides I can share, but I promised I will be done in half an hour. So I will stop here and we will take questions. People can unmute yourself, and we want to be able to let you go in another 10 minutes, but I'm available for another little bit extra, so we can continue this discussion. But yeah, we'll try an open discussion, see how it goes, and go from there. Anyone can unmute yourself and share your thoughts, questions. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ben. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
I got construction going on at my house here with a new tile floor, so I can't hear that well. But I'm interested to hear more about the altruism. And you said altruism for 5 minutes. So explain more what you're referring to during this altruism compassion experience.
Excellent. So do you still see my slides?
Pardon me?
Do you still see the slide, or do you, what is showing on your screen?
I don't see them now.
The slides have gone?
I saw them when you showed them.
Okay. I'll go back to the slide, I think. Now do you see it? Is the slide back up?
Not the slide I'm referring to.
Okay. But you can see there's the Heartful Living slide,
over
right?
Here. Over here on the right, a smaller version of it.
Okay.
Under effortless health. You talk about compassion, you say altruism for 5 minutes.
Yes, yes. So now you see these slides. Let me see if I can get back to that slide. Yes.
There you have it.
Now you see it?
Yes.
Excellent. So A's experience, I believe, is I would say this is the most powerful of the 4 tools. And this is the most innovative. The reason I say that is the behavioral psychology professors here at MU, they were sold on all the 4 concepts, but they bought this the most. Why I say that is, now we've written and submitted over the last 2 months a grant for $500,000 just to study 20 to 30 kids with ACE experience. So I'm so glad our tennis coach, Ben Loeb, has asked this question on ACE. Altruism means trying to do something that is kind or good, or paying it forward, or trying to make somebody's life a little better. The reason we want that to be uh, anonymous is because, for instance, if I do something kind to Ben Loeb, there is a chance, as a tennis coach, we live in the same neighborhood and we play tennis together, he will repay it to me in some way over the next few days or few weeks. But if I do it to a basketball coach I don't know, and he doesn't know me, he's not going to repay me, right? So whatever kindness I do to him. So the only way I will feel any closure on that effort would be inside my heart. And that will be as a residue of compassion. We are dealing with so many challenges related to COVID. On top of that, Black Lives Matter and the racial injustice issues are being felt at the heart of so many people. That is changing not only in the United States, throughout the world, how we view ourselves, how we view society. The organization of society itself is being relooked at, and this has become such a huge call for re-evaluation of life itself. So in that circumstance, my question to forensic psychologist was not how to stop that individual from doing an act of violence. My question was, why is that thought in their heart? And the forensic psychologist referred me back to behavioral psychologist, saying that cannot be changed by law. It has to be changed in children. In their minds, in their hearts, they should feel that much trust and compassion. Then only as they grow up, they will relate better with society. And for that, this ACE 70, we call it, because 15 to 20 days is the minimum. 150 days, they say, is the longest. But in about 70 days of doing ACE for 1 minute, we believe ACE 70 may give enough habituation of compassion and confidence and altruism that after 70 days of doing it, we expect children will wake up with a small thought. How am I going to make a small difference? Make somebody's life better, like that. That is the real benefit. And we've been using it in the last 5 years as for a 75-year-old veteran with one leg and a stroke and not able to exercise and play sports. I invite them to volunteer in our own VA hospital, in their own church, in their own community center for half an hour, 1 hour, what they can do to be of some assistance to people around them. They may be living alone for the last 15 years. But once veterans start volunteering, magic really happens. It's not from the medicines, it's not from the other three things. They all matter, but altruism or connecting with the society and through community, connecting with yourself at a deeper level is how the ACE experience makes a difference. Thanks so much for that question, Ben.
I like your response. So are you suggesting to spend like 5 minutes a day thinking about how you can do altruistic type?
Yes. I'm not asking just to think. I'm actually asking you to do the act of kindness within a minute or up to 5 minutes it should take. And how you do it, you'll have to be creative. In HilifeJourney, we'll post maybe our kids and our adults' experiences over the next few weeks. We are only developing this site. But how you do it in your own terms, I want it to be creative also. Being in your circumstance with COVID challenges, how you do it, you'll have to find it. It has to be something out of your routine. Already you may be doing so many nice things for your society. I know Ben Loeb, many people don't know him here. He's been an amazing tennis coach in our town, and he's inspired so many kids, including my own son, to be the best they can be in their lives. So that itself is altruism, Ben. But for you, today my invitation is 1 more minute where you bring a smile to someone who doesn't know you as Ben Loeb. That is the invitation.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Excellent.
I have a question. This is Jenny Brooks. So I don't even think I have my video on here. Okay. So you mentioned true calling. So as you're more mindful, do you feel like your true calling is more evident to you as an adult? And then maybe how do you encourage your children to find their true calling?
Excellent. Ben Loeb's question has a 1 hour answer. I got away with 2 minutes
sorry.
and I satisfied him. Your question is definitely a 2 hour answer.
Oh, sorry.
No, you don't have to be sorry. So that is the real, what I would say, finding your true calling. You're asking. In this slide, the answer is built in. The 4 external things are fasting overnight,
Right.
doing 30 minutes of exercise, observing your own gratitude talk, or actually it doesn't even have to be gratitude. For instance, today, if I'm feeling stressed, oh my God, I got exposed to 2 COVID patients, and maybe I'm going to get COVID tomorrow. I may not be healthy. I may not survive. It may be even that, if it may be negative thoughts too. But whatever it is, observing your thought and then getting into silence for a few minutes, and then this altruism. I believe these 4 external acts, but most importantly, the gratitude, the smile, the compassion, and the silence, the inner aspects of these 4 external efforts is directly working with your heart of consciousness. Right. So that will take you directly to the calling, and you will feel too passionate. Let me leave it there.
And then your example will lead your example for your children, right? I mean, because as they're children, it's harder for them to find.
So I've looked at what we can give our children. Definitely we can give them some money as inheritance. We can give education. We can do a lot. But I sincerely believe the best thing we can leave them with is an example.
Right.
That being our life and how we connected with our opportunities and our challenges and how we came through the best self that we are. That would be the simplest and the most profound learning or experience for our children. So I believe in this, without having to switch slides, I believe I've answered your question, but the answer is, it is several fold more than what you asked, that you will find in your own life as your experience. And that is what patients, when they come back and say, my cup is totally full and overflowing, it is not just optimistic. People start out pessimistic, they end up optimistic at the end of 6 weeks. But then at the end of 6 months to 1 year, they feel honestly that their cup is totally full and overflowing. And that comes out of finding their calling. And this is in 70 and 80-year-old patients who have so many health challenges on 25 medicines and not even able to get out of bed for the last 1 month with the compression fracture in her spine. One of my patients last week said that. We'll hear her voice next week, her actually talking to us. Okay? Thanks so much for that very, I would say, profound questions.
Can I ask one more question about the diet too, about the Blue Zone diet? Do you mind?
Sure, go ahead, please.
Okay, so you were talking about Blue Zone, and I think you may have mentioned it a little bit this time and then last time, reducing your amount of meat that you intake. Yes. So obviously, as you know, Americans, we eat a lot of meat. So what's a good suggestion for how to reduce, maybe, I guess, your intake?
Okay, we'll go to I think the last slide I added today is right here.
Oh, good, okay.
This is do you see the slide?
Yep.
Is it fully displaying or is it split screen?
No, it's just, that's just on display mode.
No, is it full screen?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. This is a TED talk I got to listen yesterday. And the talk was, can adults grow new neurons? Until yesterday, I thought the answer was no. But this TED talk opened my eyes. This neuroscientist shows that 700 new brain cells at least can be made every day. That means the entire brain also is being replaced over years. We thought all the other tissues are replaced over time, but brain we thought is fixed by the age of 1 year, but no, throughout life, even the brain regenerates with new tissue. This is very, very profound. And this slide shows what are the ways to regenerate the brain. Old age is a challenge. Not getting enough sleep is a challenge. Being stressed is a challenge. But the ways to overcome it is by getting adequate rest, by learning new skills, and exercising for 30 minutes, running or some exercise for 30 minutes. This is what she said. And then she left us with your answer. What are the foods that are healthy to get a totally new brain? Avoid dementia, avoid so many other degenerative neurological problems. Because as a society, we are finding ways to live longer, increasing our health span. This may be the biggest challenge dealing with dementia, and this is the answer. So resveratrol is present in red wine, omega-3 fatty acids, present in avocado and nuts. Calorie restriction, we're going to talk about it in the next few weeks. Blueberries, flavonoids, intermittent fasting, a little bit of caffeine, zinc, folic acid, curcumin, all these things may give us the benefit. And the things to watch out for and avoid are high sugar content, which is present in beverages, soda, and vitamin deficiencies, avoiding high saturated fat, even a soft diet, which is more processed food rather than natural foods, alcohol. These are things to stay away from. Did I answer your question, Jennifer?
Yes. I just think it's hard to like make an adjustment from, you know, being that person that eats meat more frequently down to.
Yes. It is a slow process. Every day we try a little bit more.
Okay.
And we can be proud of that participation. Every day trying to do a little better. Even if you take a few days break in between, that's fine. That process is an internal commitment to exploring how we can be a little better. Like from yesterday's talk, I'm going to try and do a little better. So every day I'm learning, and my patients are teaching me, and the scientific world is teaching me. And whatever I'm learning, as what I know in 2020, I'm sharing with you today. Excellent. So we all are in the same journey.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jennifer. So it's 10 o'clock. So if people need to leave, I understand, but I'm here. I'm happy to answer for another 15 minutes, some more questions, if you have any more. We want to give a chance to people who've not asked questions yet. You're welcome to introduce yourself so that people will know what your sphere of work is, your interest is, and then you can share your question, or you can ask the question directly if you want to be little anonymous. This Zoom forum doesn't allow total anonymity.
Are you still open for questions or no?
Yes. I'm here for another 15 minutes of questions, at least 15 minutes. But I'd like people who've not had a chance to talk yet to ask the first few questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
People from India. Rashmi, I see you on the computer if you want to ask something.
Hello.
Why don't you introduce yourself, Rashmi?
Hello everyone. This is Rashmi, and I organize conferences on obesity and chronic diseases and other medical disorders. So I have a quick question about. You did explain that for Indians, even the BMI about 25 is considered as obese. So what's the main reason behind it?
The short answer is we don't know the reason. Most likely, this is what you're talking about, right? Why we are so much more strict? Because we are Indian. I trained in cardiology in India and in the United States.
Okay.
In the US, the heart patients I come across are in their 50s, 60s. Very, very rarely we see sometimes in the 30s. But in India, I've seen people in the 20s come in with a true heart attack. 30s is common. 40s is the norm. So India, it happens sooner and more often. And many times being a developing country with so much cost issues for healthcare, we don't even recognize that we are losing lives at a young age from heart disease. People don't wake up in their sleep. And that is because of heart disease. When they wake up in the morning, they are not waking up. So this is a real problem for India. So that is one thing for heart disease. Then metabolic syndrome. I am a reasonably thin person. All my life I've been thin. Both my parents are physicians. But still, about 15 years ago, I became insulin resistant or pre-diabetic. That is because in southern India, we eat a lot of rice. So I had to make some adjustments. That way, I've avoided any diabetic medicines in the last 15 years. In fact, my numbers are much better now than they've been 10 years, 15 years ago. So the answer is our body does not tolerate food as much as the rest of the world. So we have to be that much more careful with how much food we give our body. Okay, Rashmi?
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
Hi, Anand. I have a question.
Yes.
I'm Radhika.
Welcome, Radhika. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you said thank you. I just wanted to ask you, you said about this 14 hours fasting. Now, I take my thyroid medication as soon as I get up. And then I'm addicted to that cup of tea. So is that allowed?
The word fasting means no calories. But generally, people are okay with a little bit of tea, a little bit of coffee. Some people say it's okay to have little juices. So there's a creep that slowly we can keep on adding things. But the simplest way is to avoid even water. People say it can be avoided, but my recommendation as a cardiologist and personally practicing fasting over the last 3 years is water makes the fast so much easier. Plain tap water. We don't have to go in for any extraordinary bottled material. Just water is sufficient for the most part, and I believe you will find over a few weeks. First few weeks, try a little bit of whatever makes you a little more comfortable with the fast, but then over time, in the next 2 months, slowly try to make it just water only fasting. That would be my long-term recommendation. Nothing to start today itself. Slowly you can experiment. When you try it slowly, people with thyroid issues, people with heart issues. See, right now, this program, I'm not being your physician. I'm just being your advocate for better health and all these things. But what I want to say is fasting is not easy and should not be attempted by people who are insulin requiring diabetes, who have eating disorders, and for people who have a BMI below 18, for them, I would not recommend fasting. And there are some other groups where they have to be really, really careful. So my suggestion would be to talk to your doctor before you go. But 12 to 14 hours, I don't think you need a doctor's prescription not to eat. You can try 10 to 12 hours straight away, and within a week, you can gradually push it up to close to 14 hours. I've talked to pediatric endocrinologists, and they say, oh yeah, 14 hours is not a big deal, even for children. Okay. So if you want to go to 24-hour fasting and things like that, that's when the age of 18 is generally recommended. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Chakalingam. I'm Rachna here.
How are you, Rachna?
I'm good. How are you? And thank you so much for the wonderful insights and the wonderful talk. I really enjoyed it. I have one question. How to, I have been mindful of all the things that you have been suggesting, but I'm what I think, how to become more resilient and how to cope up with the stress or anxiety or negativity or the thoughts. So how to cope up with that thing? I need help maybe in that regard.
Sure. See, when we showed this simple, let me see if I have some more slides. This slide may be, again, what it ends up being is, can you see the slide?
Yes.
See, this background, we are not able to get rid of.
Yes, it's a lot of background.
Exactly. So this background is still going to be there.
Yes.
In today's, we went for a 2 to 4 minute meditation today instead of the 15-minute. One reason for that is because we are not sitting in a group like the last 5 years. Today we are trying this for the first time on Zoom. So I'm a little concerned that I don't want to lose the attention of our audience. Now it looks like everybody is still with me. So if I had known this, I would have kept quiet for 15 minutes, allowing you to meditate. So the real answer comes from silence. The true answers to all these questions comes from your heart. But this heartful living experience is just, I would say, a pointer or a direction or a map or something like that that will allow you to again and again more naturally find your way to your own heart. Mm-hmm. Once you land there, coping with the stress and all that, you will be laughing at it.
Yes.
It won't even, it will be, the stress will be there, the questions will be there, but your life will be, I would say, 100 times bigger.
Yes.
That is what my patients have taught me. Doc, it is not what you're saying alone. This is what my experience of life has become. So that patient I'm going to share with you next week, when she called me on the phone and said, I called her on the phone because I'm not seeing patients in person for the most part. My follow-up visits, we are doing it on Zoom. And when I called her, she said, Doc, I'm doing great. And then the next day I called her and asked, you told me 4 weeks ago you fractured your back and you're not even getting out of the bed. But when I called you yesterday and we talked about your medicines and your clinic visit, how come you answered the phone and said, I'm doing great? She said, yes, Doc, since that last year's Heartful Living program, I've really become totally full and overflowing with joy. So that much energy you will find. And then the stress issues will fade more and more into the background. That is what you will find as your own experience. If I talk some more about it, it will be more theory. When you
Yes.
experience it over the next 6 weeks, and then continue this high life, you will find it is your own reality. And I believe by 2021, you will send me your own recording, your own medal, and your own life experience as a validation of the answer to this question, how to deal with stress.
Great. Thank you
Give it
so
some
much.
time. It'll happen for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's great to know you.
So
Great.
happy to
Thank you.
connect because I'm grateful for the COVID challenges. Other than that, I was planning to do this in the next 2-3 years, but because of coronavirus, I've done this within 2 months. We moved the entire program online. We are not
That's
doing
great.
this Heartful Living clinics at our VA anymore. It's all going to be on Zoom. Today is the first day. So share this with your friends. Whoever wants to come by next Monday, same time, we will meet again. And for that, everybody is welcome. So there is no restriction on. Only thing people will need is a computer or a smartphone and good connectivity so that we can all participate together. Today's was such an amazing success. We are done with over an hour of discussion. So I'm sure next week will go equally well or even better. I'm glad to take a few more questions. And if people have to leave, I really understand. Don't feel you have to hang around any longer. So if you need to take off today, I'll see you next Monday, same time. But for people who want to hang around and ask some more questions, I'm here for another 10 minutes.
Silence. Can you hear me?
Yes, good.
Okay, yeah. By the way, what's the name of that slide? We have gratitude, aware, compassion, and silence. What's the name of that one?
This slide?
Yes.
What do you mean by the name of the slide?
What, is there a name to it? Is there a, what's it referring to? I mean, in general, more.
Where did this come from is what you're asking?
Yes.
This came from my patients over the last 5 years. This,
Okay.
I believe, is the reason for their success. So this, I made this slide out of PowerPoint. And when I showed this with behavioral psychologists, they were so thrilled. And that's why we are writing a $500,000 grant, which we submitted last week. But this is all our own work.
Okay, but what is
self-inquiry?
These 4 quadrants, so to speak, it encompasses what? Healthy living? What's the theme?
So this is heartful living.
Okay, right. So this is, okay.
So heartful living means we include the body, mind, spirit, right? The body is the exercise, mind is the fasting, spirit is the silence, and all these 3 things have to relate back to the external world. See, we are not living in isolation. So that A's experience gives that connection back with the world. So this is what makes it the holistic program.
Okay, so my question becomes under silence. You say 2 minutes for self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my confusion is if you're being silent, but you're also
Talking.
talking.
Yes.
So how are you being silent?
Glad you asked that, Ben.
I think silence would have to do more with just focusing on your breath.
Yes. So what it is
self-talk.
I'm glad you asked it. The first 2 minutes is the talk. So you can talk something good, preferably something that you're grateful for, something that makes your life a little better today. For the first 2 minutes, as you talk, you observe who is talking to whom. That is the self-talk observation. And that is followed by the silence for 5 to 10 minutes. So talk
Okay.
first and then silence for 3 to 5 times longer if you can. That would be the ideal. SOS, self-talk silence experience.
Okay. That explains it. Thanks.
And if you don't feel like talking, you can even do some mantra chanting. There is so much evidence, like any religion that you would like to say one particular word, like for India, Om, Om, or whatever God that you connect with in your heart, whichever religion you come from, whichever part of the world you're from. If you have something that you can repeat as a single word for 2 minutes, that's equally good. You don't have to talk aloud, but the talking aloud, I feel, is a simple thing, especially in the COVID related stresses. Some of these challenges we are not even able to express to our own children. Such, I cannot go tell my 10-year-old daughter, I'm afraid I may not come home healthy tonight. So many questions are there in our hearts and minds because of the coronavirus. So that's why I said, talk to yourself aloud. That way, that itself will be a stress reliever. And then follow it up by 3 to 5 times longer when you're quiet and silent.
Is that
Excellent.
mantra you mentioned, isn't that related to autogenic training?
I have to now Google what autogenic training is, but it might be.
Autogenic training is repeating a mantra, repeating a phrase, repeating a cue state, short phrase to yourself over and over again while you're also focusing on your breathing.
Sure. You could try it that way. See, you have certain other tools that you're bringing for us to explore. But I kept it very simple. Just talk to yourself for a couple of minutes and stay silent for a few more minutes. And that will make you calmer. Because 15 years ago, when I started here in mid-Missouri, patients would look at me. Doc, you want me to sit for 5 minutes in the morning? Yeah, I say, after you finish your breakfast, after you finish everything, before you go on with your day's chores or get to your office, sit for 5 minutes from 8 a.m. to 8:05. Sit in a chair for 5 minutes and then get up and do your duties. 5 minutes was a long time for my patients 15 years ago. In 2020, I'm sure 5 minutes is a very long time for all of us still. So when I ask for 5 to 10 minutes of silence, it's a lot of commitment. But do it out of gratitude. You will find that it is possible.
Thank you.
Excellent. I see some more doctors who haven't said anything. Dr. Pandian, Dr. Agarwal, if you wish to say something, ask some questions. Kishore, Siddharth, I think many people have already started leaving, so. You'll have to unmute yourself.
I just want to say that it's this is Archana Agrawal, and the fact that you are able to so wonderfully, the fact that you have committed yourself to helping others in this way, it's just a blessing for you and for the people who are learning from you. So, but just to be able to impart your knowledge and to help others, that's very, very good.
Thanks so much for your encouragement, Dr. Archana.
Sure. And condolences to you for, that's a big loss.
Thank you.
Of your aunt.
Yes.
I'm sure
Not
it
being
must
there,
be,
being so
it must be very hard for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all are dealing with losses in the last few months. So this world is changing fast.
Yes. Yes, it is. I think the lockdown probably has been difficult for a lot of people in India.
It is getting more cases in southern India now. So again, it's going to be a
Yes.
challenge.
In Delhi also, I hear Delhi, Mumbai cases are increasing. But really appreciate all the learning.
I'm so glad you joined us. Hope to see you all
Yeah.
back next Monday, same time. Anybody with any
Yes.
more questions? Any other suggestions?
Is there any way, Dr. Chokalingam, that one can have access to the slides?
Yes, yes. We are going to record all this and put it on the HilifeJourney.
So how does one, will it be
The whole
email
discussion, the whole thing.
to?
I can make anything available, whichever you wish. None of this is. I'm trying to get
So
the
like,
message across to everybody.
how do we access them? Can it be emailed,
Yes.
or will it be?
I'm going to make it available once you. My request is for all of us to log into HilifeJourney and start tracking ourselves. That is the real request, so that you will see every day how you're doing in these 4 quadrants, and self-track how things are happening, and then you can give us feedback on how to improve this website. The big picture, I'm hoping over the next 3 to 5 years, 10,000 people can track themselves, and we'll have big data to understand which of these aspects makes a difference in which age group, and which of the heart patients benefit from what type of effort. And these studies, once we publish, I believe self-inquiry will become a part of everyday routine living itself. Right now is still looked at as some exotic Buddhist or Indian meditative process, but I believe this is so intuitive and natural, and everybody in the world can benefit. It doesn't even have any religious connotation to it or anything at all. Even the word spirituality we don't need to bring. We can call it science, because we've seen so many patients get better. What more do we need? So we are going to be publishing our findings as individual patients, case reports, and these grants that we are writing, so that this becomes just a way of life to deal with the modern day challenges of time and other pressures our people are facing. My request and invitation to all of you is to register, log in, spend 5 minutes to get the initial questions out of your way, and then every day spend less than a minute tracking for yourself. It's just like a diary for yourself to track how you are doing with your particular day, as far as exercise and fast and things like that.
Thank you.
Excellent.
So for registering, okay, thank you.
HilifeJourney.org.
Okay.
It's free, and there's no strings attached.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Wonderful meeting all of you. Bye-bye. See you next Monday, same time.